Welcome to the Everest Virtual Assistant Development course. This is the Module 2, Virtual Assistance Management, using the NLP Google Dialogflow. On completing this module, you will be able to create a bot with Eva using Dialogflow, import intents and entities, channel management, manage answers and templates, understand context management, and basic cockpit user management. In order to create a bot in Eva using the Dialogflow NLP engine, our virtual assistant must be created and configured in different systems, the Dialogflow and Eva. To do this, a virtual assistant registration process will be carried out which consists of 3 main steps. Step 1. Create an agent in Dialogflow using the console. Step 2. Configure the permissions in GCP. The last step, create the virtual assistant in Eva using the Dialogflow information of the agent created in Dialogflow. We started by creating the agent in the Dialogflow management console. During the creation of the bot, certain information must be configured, such as the name of the bot, the language to be used and the time zone for managing time type entities. Once the bot has been created in the Dialogflow console and, before continuing to set permissions in GCP, the responses associated with the default welcome and fallback intentions must be deleted. The reason for deleting these responses is that by default the link between Eva and the NLP is by intention, not by response. Once the bot has been created in Dialogflow, you will proceed to set up the permissions and access credentials that Eva will use to link the wizard with the Dialogflow wizard. To do this, you must access the administration console of GCP to the administration of the IAM of the project associated with the Dialogflow bot. If there is any doubt about the name of the linked project, this can be seen from the agent configuration in the Dialogflow console. Once you are logged in, you will need to create a service account which will be used to consume the Dialogflow APIs. You will then need to assign the Dialogflow API Manager role to the account and finally create the key in JSON format for the service account. To complete the process of creating a new bot within the Eva cockpit console, we will need to enter certain information. In this case, you will have to select Dialogflow as the NLP type and use the JSON file with the credential generated in the previous step. Then we are able to select the main language for the bot. The number of possible languages may vary depending on the selected NLP engine. The next step is to select the first channel that will be enabled by the chatbot, for example, the web channel. Finally, you will have to indicate the name of the bot and optionally load an image that will be displayed in the cockpit. Now, we have our chatbot created. To understand how Eva's working model works, it is important to understand how it has evolved over time. In its first versions, in Eva 1 and Eva 2, the relationship between the NLP model loaded into Dialogflow and the contents loaded into the Eva cockpit was done through the response codes that were configured in Dialogflow. In Eva version 3.0, the entire process of creating and training intentions and entities was done in the cockpit, and when required, the model was loaded/exported to Dialogflow to train the NLP. After a thorough review of its evolution and the different models, in the current version a new working model was determined, the reconciliation model. This model consists in that for the third-party vendors, Dialogflow, Watson and Luis, the intentions and entities are trained directly in the NLP console, and when required a reconciliation/import of the NLP model to the Eva platform is performed. The exception is the case of Clever, the Everest on-premise engine, where work continues on the training model in the cockpit and the loading/exporting of the model to Clever. To carry out a reconciliation of the intentions trained in the Dialogflow model, we only need to access the virtual assistant in the cockpit, enter the load section and execute the reconciliation. Depending on the volume of intentions and utterances, this process can take from a few seconds to a few minutes. When the reconciliation process has finished, you will be able to see the result in the load section. From this point on, all the new intentions loaded in the cognitive engine will be available in the intentions section of the virtual assistant. For entities, how they use them also depends on the NLP provider they are using. In the case of Clever, the entities are defined and created from the cockpit console, and these are loaded into the model to the NLP along with the intentions when the model is loaded/exported to Clever. In the case of third party as Dialogflow, Watson or Luis, the entities are defined and trained directly in the NLP model. They are not automatically reconciled when the reconciliation/import is performed, but they are directly identified within the cockpit dialog flows in which they will be used, establishing the name of the entity and the value to be evaluated. EVA is a multi-channel virtual assistant management platform. This means that EVA will allow us to create virtual assistants and publish them on multiple channels such as the web, the app, Google Assistant, etc. To manage the different channels of a virtual assistant within the cockpit, we will have to access the Channels section in the Assistant. From this section you can manage the channels of the Assistant and enable new channels. When creating the channel, you must select the type of channel to be enabled. Each type of channel will allow you to use different response templates based on the capabilities of the channel. Text, image, carousel. It is important to understand the difference between creating and publishing channels. Creating channels in the cockpit, what it enables is the possibility to start managing and configuring that channel from the tool. Publishing a channel means making the wizard available in that channel for clients to use. This implies carrying out actions in the channel itself, such as publishing the web chat, creating a Facebook page or hiring a WhatsApp number, among others. As I said before, EVA as a multi-channel platform will allow us to define a virtual assistant with flows and use cases and publish them on multiple channels. But for reasons of the channel's capacities and to optimize the experience, it is necessary to allow the contents of each use case to be adapted to the specific channel through which it is used. Within EVA, the contents or response elements are identified as answers. When creating and editing these answers, a tab will be displayed for each channel that has the wizard enabled, allowing you to specify the behavior of this content for each channel in the wizard. Based on the type of each channel, the tabs will have a drop-down list with the types of content that can be defined. Among the channel tabs, we will find the All tab. This tab defines the default flow for all the channels, so it only allows the use of the plain text template. As introduced in the multi-channel section, the management of content and answers in EVA is done through the Answers object. Each of these answer objects represents a unique response content, be it a text, an image, a video or a carousel for example. Within each answer there are a series of tabs based on the channels enabled by the virtual assistant. In each of these tabs you can define the specific behavior of this element for each channel. To do this, the answer templates are used, which allow us to define what type of content will be for each channel, for example a text or a photo. The different types of templates offered by the platform are text, image, carousel, audio, video, file and personalized. The available templates depend on the type of channel enabled, as not all channels have the same capabilities.